In this video, we describe how nets could be fully operational globally by 2030, with LAN and WAN available in many regions as early as 2028. The first phase would be technical and would be a global effort to produce a final design of all vehicle, network, and energy elements. Some details may differ significantly, but the overall structures would be as described here. For example, the WAN guideway would always be elevated, covered with only 3D crossings and suspended vehicles. The biggest difference would likely be for the intercity guideways, where individual tracks could be enclosed with some level of low air density, potentially accelerated in the direction of travel. That could be used to lower energy consumption rates if the costs and the impacts on the vehicle design could justify it. Those options would also be essential parts of the even higher speed backbone, providing additional justification. Most of the design work would be done on a volunteer basis, analogous to the free software and maker communities. There is no large expenditure needed here. Expenditures would be for things like wind tunnel testing and physical prototyping where needed. We assume people who believe there is value in any of this work, including ours for developing nets, will find ways to show their appreciation. The current design assumes existing volume production components. There should still be research focused on things like improving the WAN vehicle coefficient of skin friction. We do not assume such improvements in our cost and energy calculations, but if they are ready by the physical deployment time, they can be used. The chosen basic components would be decided early enough to allow a ramp-up of production if needed. The main area where that might be required in developed areas would be for fiber-based cables and composites for the track and vehicle components. Undeveloped areas would have to import or add their own production facilities. There needs to be an even larger, simultaneous effort to educate the population regarding what nets and basis for change are, and the evolution of quality of life measures they enable. This involves reaching as wide an audience as possible, as quickly as possible. We will have improvements in our current videos and new topics, but the most important thing is to convince content creators to provide their spin targeted at their audiences. We could provide technical assistance to such efforts. We believe that an agreement in a region to deploy nets will have to be a ground-up effort. It is such a large change that there will be a need for a general overall agreement by residents in a region for it to be approved. Reaching people in a form that they relate to will be fundamental. We understand that our video series, at the moment, does not present the concepts in a form that would be relatable to many people. Within a year, the design should be settled enough to allow for the design of the capital equipment used during deployment. This would include the production facilities for the vehicles and devices and facilities needed to produce and deploy the guideway towers and track modules from available components. The entities that produce such capital equipment should be able to start a production stream of such equipment within a year. Note that the WAN vehicles, propulsion, and energy units are distinct modules that are assembled dynamically by nets. All of these can be manufactured independently in specialized microfactories. Microfactories are easy to distribute, allowing more rapid deployment in undeveloped areas. The WAN guideway module factories would be portable microfactories. Once the guideway network in one area is complete, the factory would move to a location in a new area that minimizes the distances completed modules need to be moved in the new area. Most land vehicles exist today in the form of various personal e-bikes, e-trikes, e-scooters, and e-wheelchairs. These would just need simple control and communication electronics to communicate with the LAN data network. If Phase 1 starts January 2025, the full design phase would be done by January 2027, and deployment capital equipment should be in production. As far as possible, the design should allow for the late introduction of advances like skin friction improvements. At that time, any region in the world whose people have chosen to deploy nets and start down the basis for change road can start the physical deployment. The biggest part of the physical deployment would be WAN guideway manufacture and installation. We have specified a model for all but the intercity guideways that would provide a deployment rate of about 10 guideway kilometers per man-year. The U.S. non-intercity guideway subnetwork install would then require less than 200,000 man-years. If the physical deployment is spread over 2 years, this would require less than 0.1% of the U.S. labor force for those years. The intercity guideways would take more labor and different capital equipment, but the extent is less than 3% of the rest of the network. A planning tool for WAN guideway deployments could be available very quickly. Route planning just needs a simple extension to free GIS tools that anyone in the world could use. For paths running along Cut's major roads, the planning is mostly about identifying segments where trees, buildings, or other obstacles would be incompatible with the guideway rights of way at all heights. For intercity guideway routes that extend outside Cut's expressway medians, these tools will be able to identify sufficiently straight and flat segments to not significantly impact top speeds and have minimal right-of-way acquisition costs. There may actually be more work involved in cleaning up from Cuts than in deploying nets. For example, removing, replacing, or repurposing existing roads, parking lots, commercial airports, or any other Cuts-related structural assets. The physical deployment, once final designs and capital equipment are available, would not start as a global effort. Some countries or regions may be early adopters. The install in such areas would be rapid. Once the benefits become clear, rollout into other areas would likely soon follow.